Yep, here at Benavia, we are so glad to have Kelly. She has the long-standing relationship with us, a board member, committee members, volunteer, supporter for many years. We're glad to have her. We here at Benavia, of course, our mission is to enrich lives, and we do that in so many different programs and so many different services. But what we do is we worry about each person. So we try to care for each person that we're serving like you're our family. And that culture and that mission has been handed down from 43 years ago, from the very beginning, through 2 CEOs, to our staff, and to our volunteers. And that is what we strive for every day, is to treat each person with dignity and respect, and to care for them like they're our family. And I'm fortunate, I get to hear about it all the time. When I talk to donors, I hear of the great work that is being done by our staff. We're so proud of them. So we want to, part of what we do as a service is to provide educational events to help you, everyone in the community, kind of deal with life and what's going on and where you're at in your journey. So today we have Kelly, and I'm going to let her tell what she does, because I don't like to say the title of what she does because I screw it up every time. So I'm going to let her go.
People do, so
And
okay.
so we're going to go till about 2:20 if you need to, if you don't, and then we'll allow a little bit of time for questions at the end. But we will end right at 2:30. And that's my job, so I'll cue you, but yeah, we appreciate your time, so we value it. Kelly?
Absolutely.
Can I just do a sound, making sure everybody
Yeah.
can hear us
Yeah.
okay? On
John,
Zoom?
can you give us a thumbs up, John, if you hear us okay?
Oh,
Thank you,
good.
sir.
I know you can't see my screen, but
Yeah.
everybody, Christine, Lee, Ellen, you good? Just thumbs up is good. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kelly.
Awesome. How do I switch the screen? Do I need to?
I will.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here with us. My name is Kelly Crane. I am the owner and the licensed fiduciary of Esteemed Life Solutions. We've been in business, this is our 9th year of business. We have grown more than I've ever imagined. I have been in Arizona for 12 years. I've got 4 beautiful little kids, and just always active. And so I'm here to present on what is a fiduciary. What is a fiduciary? How can a fiduciary benefit you, or a loved one, or a neighbor? Also, be prepared. I have not presented in about 3 years, so bear with me.
That's fine.
COVID kind of messed that up a little bit for us.
If you need 30 minutes, whatever you have, that's fine.
Usually,
Whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Usually
fine.
takes a while. So one thing that does make us different as a fiduciary company is that our business is also licensed. A lot of fiduciaries, it's only the person that is licensed that's managing. So that's just one thing that, you know, as you're interviewing fiduciaries, I'm not the only one. There's a lot of us out there, and there's, you know, different personalities will fit different individuals. So this is supposed to be more generalized.
Eyeball me whenever you want.
Okay, so what is a fiduciary? Has anybody heard does anybody know what a fiduciary is?
Kind of.
So when I'm just out in public, the first thing I say is a fiduciary has an ethical responsibility to the individuals that they're working with. So a lot of people will hear the term fiduciary in relation to financial advisor. That was kind of a thing a few years ago that the New York Times decided to start using the term fiduciary all over the place. The difference between those fiduciaries and us is in Arizona, the Supreme Court has given us a licensing division. So we are licensed through the Supreme Court of Arizona.
I'm going to turn this toward you a little bit more. I'd like to see you.
Thanks, John. So the definition is a person such as a trustee who holds a position of trust or confidence with respect to someone else, and who is obliged to act solely for that person's benefit. A fiduciary is in a position of trust or confidence, and that's where we get the difference between a financial advisor who has a fiduciary relationship and a licensed fiduciary. Attorneys have, a finance or a fiduciary responsibility. There's a lot of other individuals, people who we work with, who have that responsibility, that ethical role. So as a licensed fiduciary, what are the different roles that we have? So we serve as a bridge between clients, family, healthcare providers, caregivers, and attorneys. So as we age, there's a lot of people involved in our life. And as a fiduciary, it's our duty to manage all of those relationships to make sure that everybody understands what is happening and everybody has a game plan as to how to best advocate and help each individual. We are an advocate responsible for protecting the quality of life for individuals who may have no voice and can no longer take care of themselves. So a lot of our clients, a lot of the people that fiduciaries care for are very vulnerable. They no longer have the capacity to make their own medical, financial decisions. You can either set this up before or later, and we'll get into those roles down the road. A fiduciary draws on experience in seeking available public benefits, programs, and other resources. A lot of our clients, we end up getting on board and they need all tax. They haven't applied for Social Security benefits. They need assistance financially, finding resources to care for them long term. And that's our duty to make sure that we find all of those resources that are available to each individual. A fiduciary handles financial, health care, and quality of life decisions to protect the wishes of the people they serve, as well as real estate properties. So everybody has a different opinion of how they want their body cared for. And as a fiduciary, it's our responsibility to ensure that we are advocating for what you want for your life, not what we want, not what the person next to you wants. We really want to look at, different life-sustaining measures, or, did you donate money to a lot of different places? We want to honor that even when our clients are no longer able to. We really look at the big picture to determine what is in the best interest for the client given each circumstance. We deal with a lot of different complex issues, and we want to, again, honor our clients' wishes and what they want, but within the scope of what we are able to and what their abilities are as well. So we really try to take pride in ensuring that we keep people independent as much as possible, give them that dignity. So one of the things that I love about partnering with Benevia is, the dignity and honoring each client as an individual. And that really should be what a fiduciary does. So this is more for just a Seam Life solution. Again, all fiduciaries can handle this, but each fiduciary will handle it differently. So our office, we take a look at the overall big picture of each situation in order to provide individual attention and decide what is in each person's best interest. We handle different real estate property issues, financial, health care, and quality of life decisions to protect your wishes. We strive to find every situation, even in the most complex issues. The different roles that a fiduciary can play. These are roles that we can play, and for each individual, it varies as to which role we will play. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard the term trust. So we can act as a trustee within that trust. They have, as a trustee, we have the responsibility of carrying out the terms of that trust as set forth within that trust document. So those documents are prepared by your attorney. They go into detail about what your wishes are, and then it's our duty to execute those. We can act as a conservator. A conservator is appointed through the Superior Court of Arizona, and that is strictly to handle the financial affairs of an individual. There's also a guardian. The guardian is over the person. So that is strictly for handling healthcare decisions, placement. A lot of times when a fiduciary is named as a guardian and or conservator, they'll do both unless there isn't enough funds within an estate to handle the conservatorship. Sometimes, in my company, we like to split those roles as well. If we have a family member who is able to be involved and act as the guardian, we love to see that happen. That way there's that active role. And then we'll just handle the finances, because sometimes the money is the sticky issue that a lot of people get into. We act, I need to change that. We act as case managers now. The Fiduciary Association no longer likes us to be called care managers, just due to legalities. But we act as case managers. We can work with the attorney, we can work with family members, and just advocating in that role without any legal authority. We also act in the role of powers of attorney, both medical and financial. So this is where an individual pre-plans. They go and meet with an attorney. They'll do powers of attorney and possibly a trust. And we can be named in those documents to act in that role down the road. We also act as personal representatives. So this is when somebody has passed away. We can go ahead and administer the estate per the wishes of the individual. If there is no will in place, so let's say somebody hasn't pre-planned, doesn't have that, we can still act as personal representatives. And that's called dying intestate, where we essentially have to find heirs and make those distributions. So what makes Esteemed Life Solutions a little different from other fiduciaries? We were created based on the basic fundamentals of life: honesty, integrity, and ethics. These fundamentals have created the foundation of our company to strive and grow. I'm going to be very honest. I wrote that 10 years ago, and I still stand by it. I wrote that when I first started this business by myself, and as we've continued to grow, that's still the foundation of who we are. Choosing a third party can be a very scary option. We're just nobody to most people that we get involved with. Thinking that someone whom you don't know may be handling your financial and healthcare decisions is stressful and difficult. And it's something that a lot of people just don't even want to think about. They don't want to pre-plan. You know what? Nothing bad's going to happen to me. However, it's important that a fiduciary can oftentimes be the perfect person to express and fulfill wishes should the circumstance require. As a fiduciary, we are a third party. We are neutral. We have our duty is only to the person that we are serving. It is not to family members. It is not to friends and neighbors. And so sometimes a neutral third party can be really beneficial in making sure that your wishes are met. I'm flying through this. Sorry, guys.
Great.
So protecting your loved ones. This is something that's dear to my heart. Especially in the last 3 years, I've seen more and more financial exploitation of our most vulnerable population, the people who no longer can actually make decisions for themselves. spotting signs of exploitation. So this is going to be, you know, your neighbor, your friend, even a loved one that you might see. So we're going to be looking for changes in an elderly person's typical spending patterns. They being flippant with money and it's just going out the door like crazy. Transferring assets to a new friend, assisting with finances, excessive reimbursements to caregivers, friends, and or family members. A new authorized signer on an elderly person's bank account, even if it's a family member, even if it's your son or daughter, you know, there's a chance that exploitation can happen. Sometimes not on purpose, sometimes it's just not knowing the best way to handle the finances. Unexplained charges in checking or credit accounts, unfamiliar signatures on checks made out to cash, missing property or unexplained disappearance of valuables, large or unknown withdrawals or transfers between bank accounts, unexplainable changes of documents such as the will or power of attorney, unpaid bills despite adequate income, disappearance of bank statements, appearance of foreclosure notices or property liens, and then a caregiver, friend, or relative trying to isolate a senior from others. Strangers may commit the crime of elder financial abuse, however, relatives or caregivers are often the source. Different factors make an elderly person a target, such as home ownership, high net worth, loneliness, isolation, or cognitive impairments, such as dementia or Alzheimer's. Victims, most of the time, don't report abuse because they want to protect their loved one. They want to protect the individual that's exploiting them because they feel cared for. Since elder abuse is correlated highly with isolation, one way we prevent this possibility is to make sure your relative has regular social and medical visits, as well as having accounts closely monitored. I'm going to tell a story that was just recently brought to my attention that's terrifying to me, that goes along with this and how we're trying to handle this. A gentleman has a massage therapist that about 2 months ago went and changed his trust and his powers of attorney, leaving everything to her. The person that drafted those documents also put her name on the deed to the house and on all of the cars. This was literally brought to my attention 2 weeks ago, and it is absolutely terrifying. So things that we can do for that, and as a fiduciary, what I would go ahead and do. First, we go ahead and contact the authorities, Adult Protective Services, get whoever we can involved, get as many eyes on the situation as possible. A friend of mine also does helps with financial abuse and, you know, reporting. So she contacted the massage board. She contacted the board of where the individual works, has contacted her employer countless times. From a fiduciary standpoint, my initial response is we need to petition for conservatorship so that we can protect those assets and have all of that paperwork void. The best way to do that is we then go to his doctor, who has seen this woman come to appointments with him. So that's my next step, is going to the doctor saying, you know, have you seen, what have you recognized, you know, is he truly vulnerable, or is he being rational about this? You know, it's possible that he is completely cognizant and well aware. Doesn't make it right. Mm-hmm. So that's our next step, is petitioning the court so that we can have court oversight on this, have additional attorneys involved to try and stop this woman from doing this again. The gentleman is not willing so far to prosecute or follow through with any of the reports that have been made, but it's still out there and we're still pushing forward to try and do that. So, I mean, it happens daily. We currently manage about 100 clients right now, and about 50% of them have been exploited by family members, by, you know, the people that we know. So pre-planning, making sure that you're surrounded by loved ones, and people who you can truly trust is going to be so important as we age. So again, going back to why choosing a third party. This allows your loved ones to continue to be your support system, be your family, not have to make tough decisions like, hey, mom and dad, time to take away the keys. It's not something that children enjoy doing. It also gives a third party, we have resources to better assist you, somebody that doesn't do this all the time may not be aware of. And if they're not willing to ask for help or willing to reach out to additional resources like Benevia, you might be missing out on certain things. I know I mentioned this earlier. Our priority is you alone, is our client. We have the knowledge to guide you and your loved ones to resources and programs that may be highly beneficial. So a lot of times we will meet with somebody and we're not the best option. Our company may not be the best fit. And so it is our duty and our responsibility, one thing that we enjoy doing is giving additional resources to ways to help you along your journey, help a neighbor or a friend along their journey as well. You also should have peace of mind knowing that you and your loved one's affairs are taken care of regardless of circumstances. So this is what we do every single day. If you have a neighbor, a friend, a loved one, they may have circumstances that come up and they're no longer able to actually help you. This is where a third party, this is what we do. We're going to help you regardless of what's going on in our personal lives as well. How do you pre-plan? How do you get your powers of attorney done? How do you ensure that you are set up for success as we continue to age? First, contact your attorney. If you don't have an attorney, please reach out to somebody. I've got lots of resources. Ask a friend or a neighbor who they have used as a trusted contact. If you have friends or family that you trust to act on your behalf, to act as a power of attorney, to execute your will, to execute your trust as well, and be there should you become unable to handle your own affairs, talk to them about their willingness, about their ability to do that. Make sure whoever you have named as your successor, especially for the medical, make sure that they know what your wishes are. Make sure that living will is very detailed as to what you're willing to do should you go to the hospital. Ask your attorney about creating a trust. A trust does help avoid probate. Not always, but most of the time it should avoid a probate. And it is a little simpler to execute, but it is not always the best option for individuals. If you don't have a loved one to help you in that capacity, if you don't have a spouse or children or a close friend or even nieces or nephews are great resources as well, meet with a fiduciary, meet with a couple fiduciaries. We all go through growing pains, and so, maybe one isn't the right fit at one time and, 10 years later they are. So don't ever stop thinking about who you want involved in your life as we age. Again, meeting with multiple fiduciaries is going to be a really real benefit to you guys as well. Not only do you get to know their personalities, I can tell you that we're more of like the family type. I bring my baby to places. We're a little easier to contact, and that's not always what everybody wants. Some people like more professional, and there's other fiduciaries that are military-based, and so they're very cut and dry, and that's perfect for other individuals. The last thing is start thinking about obtaining a prepaid burial. If you haven't already, look at Do you want to be buried with your loved one? Do you want to be buried back home? Do you want to stay here? Do you want to be cremated? Or do you want your body donated to science? And so having those in place is also a big benefit too. So, you guys are all here learning what a fiduciary is, so I'm assuming you're considering the idea of fiduciary services. Here at Esteemed Life Solutions, no two clients are alike. Everyone is treated with respect, with one-on-one attention to meet their individual and different needs. We would be happy to sit down and meet with you. A lot of you got to meet Farron earlier. She does a lot of our new client meetings currently, and she'd love to sit down and just chat. Again, go over what your individual needs are and see how we could benefit you, or again, just give additional resources that might be a benefit to you as well. So we've gone over a lot of this already. Why? Why have a fiduciary? Because. Because, you know, we're focused on you, and that's the big thing, what all of that says.
Sums it all up, yeah.
Okay.
Right, yes.
What is the difference between a fiduciary and an executor?
So a fiduciary can act as an executor. Fiduciary is the title of what we do. An executor, in Arizona, we call them personal representatives. Another term is administrator. So an executor or administrator is after someone has passed away, making sure that their estate is handled, beneficiaries are given.
They carry out the trust.
Right.
Right. My son is informed as to what, everything I want done,
Perfect.
and so he will carry out
Those
the
wishes.
trust. So
Yeah.
he's my executor.
Perfect.
Okay. Now, okay, so that's the executor, actually. He's a fiduciary. He's doing everything that I want.
Yes. So technically, he has that fiduciary responsibility. He's just not licensed here in Arizona.
No.
So that was where earlier, we have the term fiduciary, where a lot of people have a fiduciary responsibility, and he would have a fiduciary responsibility for you. But a licensed fiduciary in the state of Arizona, and truthfully, not many states have a licensed fiduciary program.
No.
Sometimes people, don't maybe have someone that lives back east a family member that can manage their money, but they may have medical issues and their loved one isn't able to help
they're not
them.
here.
Maybe they're completely widowed, no family local, and they're seriously ill and they need help with navigating. So she was saying sometimes they split up the health care and the money, right?
Yep.
Right.
So is your son local?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So in a situation where where the family member is not local,
I
he
can
can
see
guide
the
them.
problem.
Yeah, and they can absolutely be named as the power of attorney, the trustee, and handle all of those things. They are welcome to reach out to us just for guidance along the way as
Okay,
well.
what did you say?
You get involved in the
COD. What does
investment of
COD
assets?
mean?
Computing.
Yes and no. We manage, we don't actually do the investing. We usually have a financial advisor involved to do the actual investing, but we guide them as far as, what risk tolerance they have, and what money needs to be liquidated and when.
Do we have anybody online that would like to ask a question?
I think this is a question.
You can either type it in the chat or unmute yourself for a minute and ask your question.
If you don't have a will or a trust,
Mhm.
and you have, let's say, more than $100,000 worth of
Anything.
anything, okay, what would happen?
So, in that situation, a family member, a beneficiary, or someone who is owed money from your estate can petition the court to open a probate. That's when somebody dies intestate. They don't have anything that designates their money. And we get that a lot, where we have people that have passed away and we have to do an heir search. Those are kind of fun. If you've never done one for somebody, you get to learn a lot, find extended family members, and then we use that information to do our final distributions.
Isn't that more costly?
It is.
Yeah, because they have to do all that research.
It is, yes.
Okay. Ask about the family.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you done any work with special needs trusts?
Yes. We have several special needs trusts that we do administer currently. Those are, those are always set up ahead of time, and then that's where we like to make sure that all the public benefits aren't going to be messed with. Yeah, so we have several of those. Mm-hmm.
Are you involved in any that are out of state, where the recipient is?
Yes, actually. We have, actually, a more recent one where the individual lives in California, but the trust is in Arizona. Yep, so we definitely do that as well.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Oh, just say you have a trust or a will,
Yes.
and, you have a son, that's not quite of age.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like the house, I don't think that you can put somebody on a title of a house till they're like 18. I'm not too sure on that.
So if they are put on, well, let me back up. And again, this is not legal advice. But you can either have, if it's listed in a will and the individual is under 18, they would have to have a conservatorship if they're going to have any money given to them. So there would be a conservatorship open. The house could be trusted or deeded into the conservatorship in order to be held until the individual turned 18.
And who would carry that out?
If it's listed in a will, usually it would be a family member. They could name a fiduciary in there as well.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
You could carry that out too.
Yep, absolutely. You could also do a sub-trust. And we're trustee and conservator for a lot of minors actually right now. So within the trust, we create a sub-trust, where, again, a lot of special needs trusts are created in that way as well, where there's a sub-trust created, and the house could be held within that sub-trust as well.
Okay, now say, you have something that's of value, a mutual fund or something like that, and you don't want your child, say if something happens to you before they're of age, you don't want your child to get it when they're 18, because a lot of kids aren't really responsible. So you want to wait till they're like 25 or 30. Can that be done with a fiduciary?
Yes, absolutely. So that would be, especially within your trust, or even in the will, that would be very specific, and we would essentially just sit there and hold the funds until they're of age.
And that's out trust.
Correct, that would be listed within the trust. We do distributions, per trust, that would be advisable, living expenses, college, those things until they turn 25. I actually have one where the mom, didn't want her daughter to have the money until she turned 40. So we do distributions, and then once she turns 40, we can give her all of the money.
So the mom wanted the distributions given to her child then?
Correct, yep, that way it's still monitored and she doesn't just blow all of the money, at a young age.
Okay, that's good to know.
I understand.
Okay.
I don't know if you want.
Do we have anybody online? I just want to give a little bit of time here, a little break for somebody online to get on quick and ask a question. We have 23 people there.
Wow, it's a good turnout.
Yes.
Great, thank you all.
Any questions?
The orphans.
I have one other, I'm sorry.
You can minimize the PowerPoint maybe, and you can see more.
I can see him here.
Oh,
Okay.
Nobody does.
Nobody's got questions right now. And again, if you have questions later, feel free to email me. I know Cliff said that, this
Yeah.
presentation will be sent out, my contact information. We're happy to meet, answer any questions that we can.
Sure.
I think we had one here.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know what type of fees are you looking at?
So we bill hourly, and this is very specific to Esteem Life Solutions. All fiduciaries kind of bill a little differently, but it is hourly based on the work that is done. For us, we have no minimums, no retainer fees, but we do start at $160 an hour, and then our rates go down from there. Again, I know that sounds like a lot, and we really do our best to keep our fees minimal, because your money is meant for you guys. We want to make sure that our clients' needs are met first before we.
By 15 minutes of an hour?
So we bill like an attorney every 6 minutes. Yep. So we break it down as minimal as we can.
And that would be whenever, like myself, if I needed information, then the clock starts ticking as far as how much you're going to do.
So again, we do things a little differently. I don't like billing people until you actually need our help.
Okay.
Substantially. So let's say you've named us as your power of attorney, and you know what, you're just down for a little bit and need a little bit of help, you know, with doctor's appointments and just kind of managing a few things. We can jump in and help for a couple of months, and yeah, you'd get a bill for that. We bill once a month, and then we can back off once you're feeling a little better. And then should you become incapacitated at some point, you know, we can come in and help again. We do our best to allow you to be as independent as possible for as long as possible. We have a gentleman who, you know, he's really needed our help for a long time, so we're just kind of in the background giving him a little bit of guidance and without like just taking over and paying everything. So
you can go ahead and, like, if I were to contact you folks and ended up putting you in as a fiduciary agent for myself, it would only be when I need it.
yes.
But it's setting it up, pre-planning it, getting it ready to roll, just so down the road, if I, you know, have issues,
Yeah,
I have
you have us.
place.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Do you have a limit for, in relation to the question this other woman just asked? Right now, I don't feel like I need anything, but, last year I lost my husband and I have no children. I have 2 sisters,
Okay.
who live in different states, and I'm not too sure that I want to impose on them what I went through with my husband.
Absolutely.
So if we made an appointment and got a fiduciary relationship set up, it just stays on ice until,
So you need us.
then who would call you? Like,
So we,
an accident or?
yeah, so we, you know, we do try and check in every once in a while, at least once a year, if not more. And, you know, you would make sure that your doctor knew to reach out to us. You know, we have individuals who, they really like to kind of hear from us quarterly. And so they'll call and just check in, they'll send us an email with an update. And really that's how it normally works and how we kind of know that's on our contact. Yes, yes. And then, so there are some attorneys that will even, upload your powers of attorney to the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State is accessed by ambulance drivers, by hospitals, so then they have that information handy as well. And then, you know, making sure your sisters have our contact information as well, because if they're going to talk to you fairly regularly, or even your neighbors, they're going to notice if something's up or if, you know, we should come check on you.
Okay, we have one question online now that I'd like to get to. Les, go ahead, Les. Lee?
Hi, Lee.
Lee?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay. I've got several questions, actually. In the case of somebody who might be all alone, who might be going through a period of, you know, losing their mental agility, do you folks make contact proactively with your clients, or do you wait until somebody notifies you of your services being needed?
So we try and do a little bit of both. We don't want to impose, and, you know, we do have many clients that we are managing, but we do, like I mentioned earlier, we try to make contact at least once a year, if not more. If we notice when we initially meet with somebody that they might need us a little more frequently, we'll make note of that. We like to come to an individual's home and see where they live. It gives us a lot of information about how you want to, you know, how you live, as well as what you might need. You know, is the refrigerator looking a little minimal? Do we have, you know, papers and stacks that might kind of give us some guidance as to what's going on in your head that you might not even recognize?
Well, the reason I asked is that we currently have a fiduciary and we haven't heard from them for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I suppose. So, you know,
Yeah.
circumstances change and so that's of concern.
Yeah. So what I would definitely do is maybe reach out to that fiduciary. Not all fiduciaries reach out to their, you know, to the people that they're named in their documents for. They may not even remember. A lot of people don't. A lot of fiduciaries may not keep. I don't know their record keeping. So maybe just a touching base with them and seeing, you know, where they're at. They may have changed hands as well. Have new fiduciaries over there. So reach out to them and kind of get a feel. And, you know, if you're not comfortable, I think I mentioned at the very beginning that, you know, every once in a while we might need to change who that individual is.
Right. Just one other question. We indicated in a lot of our financial stuff, a beneficiary. And, well, they don't reach out either. So if we pass, you know, I don't know how that works, that they would receive the proceeds of whatever it is they're beneficiary of.
Yeah. So, are they listed as a beneficiary on like your bank accounts or in like your will and trust?
No, in bank accounts or mutual funds and so forth.
Yep. So the banks and the financial advisors that you work with, that will be their responsibility to find those beneficiaries. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it doesn't happen, and the money will actually go to the state for that individual, and then they'll have to go looking for. We do that with all of our clients. We go look at missingmoney.com. You'd be amazed at how much money people are missing.
Well, the thing is, though, a mutual fund, for example, wouldn't know that, you know, that one of us has become mentally unfit to handle our own affairs, or that we might have passed.
Right. So sometimes it does take a little bit of time for that to happen, for somebody to be notified. The statute of limitations in Arizona is 2 years to file for a probate after somebody has passed. So that's usually about the time that, you know, the length of time it could take for some individuals to be notified, even for a probate to be opened, if that was necessary.
Okay, well, I don't want to dominate the question, so thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Could you make the important distinguish between, there are a lot of financial fiduciary organizations out there that aren't providing the services that you are. Can you, because I don't know if maybe you're talking about a financial fiduciary?
So what he was referring to is his financial advisor. If you have stocks or other investments, you can list a beneficiary on those accounts. That would essentially skip the trust, that would skip the will, any probate. And so a financial advisor would have the fiduciary duty to then reach out and try and find the beneficiaries that are listed on that document. So again, financial advisors have a fiduciary responsibility similar to caretakers, attorneys, whereas a licensed fiduciary acts in a very specific role.
They do everything, so you're not gonna have Fidelity taking care of your doctor visits.
Right.
So some people think I have a fiduciary because they have a financial advisor serving as a fiduciary for money, but they're not gonna help you with, you know, all of your personal stuff if you need that.
Yeah.
I have, in my trust, I had a change, okay? And so after I had the change, I made an amendment, an extra page, and that page I handwritten,
Okay.
and then went to see the attorney, and he signed it, and the notary stamped it,
Yep.
okay? So is that all okay? Is that all legal?
If, I am not an attorney. If the attorney signed off on it, then I would say you're good to go.
Okay, well, I just went to a different seminar last week.
And they said that that wasn't.
And they said that was up for probate,
Oh, Lord.
for that, because I hand wrote it.
So,
And even though the attorney approved it,
so the amendment, so what can happen in a situation like that is if beneficiaries, if the individuals who are set to receive money have an issue and want to take this and drag it through court, they can. They can do that even with a trust that's written by an attorney.
I have in my trust that if anybody contests it, consider yourself eliminated.
Right. Exactly. So in that case,
My kids are gonna complain, or my grandchildren.
they're gonna get the money and they're gonna be happy with it.
That's right. Either that or they get nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So in that situation, having it handwritten, yes, it leaves it open for potential taking it to court. But if it's very explicit, your son knows how to handle what you want,
Yeah.
and we have this handwritten document that's signed and notarized, and your son understands what it says,
Yeah,
you should be okay.
yeah. That's what,
Question here, too?
Well, bottom line is, the way I condense all this down is, everybody has a role to play that you've, hired to take care of certain matters for your well-being.
Yes.
And the attorney, pretty much, I believe that that's where it started, when
Sure.
you get your will prepared or your living trust prepared.
Yep.
And, they put all this language in your documentation. And so and so I trust that to be legitimate for, what's required here by law in the state of Arizona. And so a lot of what you're talking about, makes a whole lot of sense, but then there's also those other little issues that you're hitting on, where when you get to the point where you can't take care of yourself and do the necessary things that you need to do, that's when a fiduciary is so important.
Yep,
We're gathering here.
yes.
Yeah.
We read through that document, we've met with you, we understand your wishes and how you want things done in order to make sure that we're honoring those and following through with that.
Right. So if something were to happen to me, then you could step in on my behalf and keep the family under control.
Yes, to the best of our ability.
And the personal representative, that has, your power of attorneys for your medical and your financial
Yeah,
stuff going on. But it's good to know, the banks, they take care of all your stuff if you listed a beneficiary,
yep,
and that's good to know. Okay, good, check off, and all of these things, attorney, check off.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the fiduciary agent is what I don't have, and
Okay.
that's why I'm here today.
Kelly, also,
Info.
I was wanting to point out how I've heard in other sessions that you can, let's say you have, someone that's a loved one as your executor, like your son, or your spouse or something, but you can sometimes have a second or third
absolutely.
level. Could you explain that to people? Because people die and get sick and.
Absolutely. So let's say you do have a son, a niece, a nephew that's able and willing to act initially. A lot of attorneys will then put a secondary person in there, such as a licensed fiduciary. So if that individual or that first person is no longer able, they've passed away, they're sick, they choose not to act, there's somebody else that you have already vetted, you've already gotten to know a little bit, so that they can act on your behalf as that original person. I've seen it up to 3. I've even seen 2 different fiduciaries listed. So we've been named first, and then there's a secondary, God forbid something happens, or we're too busy, or, yeah, I don't know why we would, turn it away at that point, but, you know, just in case.
That's the same as on your will.
Correct.
Your beneficiary and your power of attorneys for certain things.
Yep.
You got a first one listed, and if that one can't do it, then the second one that's listed steps in and takes care of it.
Yep.
And if you don't have that, then you need a fiduciary.
Yes, ma'am.
And the fiduciary needs to be added to, by the lawyer, needs to be added to your
Documents.
Your documents.
Yes, we would have to be listed. And I always like to, at least, if you, chose like us, or if you chose another fiduciary, I would definitely have that fiduciary and your attorney talk so that they're titled correctly. So in the state of Arizona, fiduciaries have a specific number, for our license, and putting that in documents is very important.
Could I ask if you've ever worked with, or your company has worked with attorney Laura Johnson, probably?
Yes. You want to hear a funny story?
Could I ask the second part of the question first? Have you ever worked with Mike McGreever?
Mike McGreevy.
Mike McGreevy. Yep.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
We-
I actually believe that I brought Mike over here.
Yeah, he's done, Mike has done some sessions here.
Yeah.
Laura has been a member of our board, and she's a CARES partner, so we refer people to Laura as an attorney.
So I just have to, real quick, this is Laura Johnson's daughter-in-law.
That's my claim to fame. The entire state is that I know Laura Johnson.
So we work very closely with Laura. And Mike is great. He's a wonderful attorney.
I started with.
Okay. Yes.
Through the neighbor.
Yeah.
Community I lived in, yeah.
Yeah.
Where is your office located?
Out of my house.
Is it in West, is it in?
So I am in North Phoenix, between like Anthem and Cave Creek. My entire staff works remotely. My case managers, both of them live in the West Valley. Becky is in Surprise, Farron is in Peoria, but we do cover the entire state, I should say. But we all work remotely, so we have, quicker access to, our clients too.
We have one question here in the chat.
Yes.
John said, would the fiduciary do a monthly well check routine?
If you would like that, absolutely, 100%, we'd be happy to.
Pay monthly bills, may get involved in encouraging medical attention?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Anybody else? Anybody else? Don't want to cut anybody off. Everybody good?
Good? Online, we're good in there?
You're good online? Do you have?
Sally?
Okay, go ahead, Sally.
I wanted to ask you, the financial fiduciary in your organization, is he a financial counselor?
What was that?
Can you repeat that, Sally? I'm sorry, there was another person.
Actually, what I want to know is, okay, say I assign you as a financial fiduciary. Can I say that I want my liquid assets to stay in the FDIC account as I have them, or is your person that handles the financial fiduciary going to be putting them in what he finds expedient for him, such as mutual funds or whatever?
So I do not have a financial advisor or a financial fiduciary within my firm. I work with outside financial advisors if that is appropriate. If you would like your funds to stay within an FDIC account, we would be happy to honor that. It's our duty to make sure we do as you ask us to do. So if you're not comfortable with investments, and to be very honest, there were many, many years that I wasn't comfortable with investments until I started. I had clients bring me different advisors that they had worked with. And that's, I also like to try and stay with who you have worked with in the past. So let's say your accounts are at Wells Fargo, we'll keep them at Wells Fargo. I'm not gonna up and move them to my own financial institution just because that's where I think that they should go. With the exception of Bank of America. Not a huge fan of Bank of America, just,
Second that.
they're not the easiest to work with, so.
Okay, let me follow up on that. Okay, say that
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have CD accounts so that they're gonna become, they're gonna mature and then they've got to be, reinvested into another CD. Are you saying that you have the ability to do that with your staff?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And what we would look at is, do we need to go ahead and put it back into a CD? Do we have enough liquid funds that we're not going to need those? Or do we need to pull some money out and maybe do a lower amount within that CD? So we would definitely look at that as well.
Okay, I understand that. Also, when I've looked into fiduciaries, their charges include that case manager travel. And so you have so much to have to pay for them traveling to you, and so much for the amount of time they spend with you, and so much amount of time, they have to do the office work. So is that how it's going to work with your organizations and most fiduciaries?
Yes, it is. We do bill for travel time, but we do what we can, as best as we can, to reduce that travel time. Just because I know that your money, you worked hard for that. That money needs to be saved for you and used for you before it goes to pay for me. Yes, I'm a business. We have to make money somehow, but my goal is not to rip you off and charge, let's say it takes me an hour to drive to you because I choose to live somewhere farther away. I'm not going to bill an excessive amount for that, if that makes sense. So I take that into consideration.
Okay.
Okay, well, I think we'll have that be the last question. I want to thank everybody online for being here. We really appreciate you coming online. We had a great amount of people there.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you all for being here in person. Again, if we can, as Benavia, be here for you, that's why we exist. We're here to be a resource through our CARES line. We're here to be a support with support groups, day programs. I couldn't list everything we do in the 2 minutes that I have left. So, but just know that you will be treated as an individual and you will be cared for. And we appreciate Kelly coming today. We know we've heard great things about her agency and her service. And so we appreciate her being here, and we just want to offer that we'll do this again in the fall. Keep in contact, keep looking on our website, and we'll keep you updated. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.